Hey guys, what's up? This is Insanity. Got an old gameplay of Modern Warfare Remastered on PC because I'm pretty sure no one plays this game on PC at the moment. And it's a dirty 66 TDM on Showdown with the AK-47. I watched Deadpool 2 recently and it was good. For me, a 7 out of 10. I rated it on par with the first one, which was a surprise considering how I'm not an avid follower of the X-Men film series. I think I've seen bits of X2, saw most of X3, bits of Origins Wolverine, which was the first introduction to Deadpool as a live-action character, or at least the first introduction to a part of Deadpool as a live-action character, before they completely changed it near the end. Some of First Class, and bits of Apocalypse. The only X-Men movie I've seen in its entirety was Days of Future Past, which is also a good movie, but extremely overrated. I think part of my apathy towards the X-Men series is their aesthetic. Visually speaking, there's not much comic booky aspects to them. They're fairly serious and muted, for a lack of a better word. Compared to the X-Men animated series I've seen in my childhood, including the 90s X-Men series and X-Men Evolution, the X-Men film series are just not exciting representations of the characters on a big screen. I think someone has said it before, but the X-Men film series are basically out of that old action movies in the vein of, say, Terminator, that have X-Men in it, as opposed to X-Men movies having X-Men in it. Not helping matters is that they generally have centralized focus around a couple of characters, with most of them being action figures or having little development. Deadpool 1 is the first X-Men related movie to really indulge in its comic bookiness. The character of Deadpool is an irreverent, fourth wall breaking, meta humor spouting merc with a mouth who wears a highly visible red costume and doesn't take anything seriously. It greatly contrasts with the main X-Men and Wolverine film series, which makes me appreciate it better. Deadpool 1 was made on a smaller than usual budget than a typical blockbuster and is R-rated, but clearly isn't supposed to be your usual superhero movie despite following a typical revenge story. I mean, for one thing, the main character has his love interest screwing him with a strap-on dildo. That already sets the movie apart from the other superhero movies. But all jokes aside, the cheapness of the movie really stands out, and it forced the movie crew to really try and think out of the box on how to deliver a Deadpool movie. I enjoyed Deadpool 1. It's not one of my favorite superhero movies, but it's definitely an alternative to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that actually works for me. The one thing I really found interesting was that, despite all the vulgar and raunchy aspects, Deadpool probably has the best superhero romance of any superhero movie. It's the most optimistic and idealistic romance to be put to the screen. The fact that Vanessa still loves Wade, despite his disfigured face and having cancer, is rather touching and pretty cute. This aspect still gets carried over to Deadpool 2, despite Vanessa kicking a bucket early on, which sets up the touching scenes when Wade meets Vanessa in heaven. I've talked a lot about Deadpool 1, but Deadpool 2, amusingly enough, to me it's actually largely the same as Deadpool 1. The story is different, there's more characters, there's more action, but it still takes after Deadpool 1 with meta humor, fourth wall breaking, and a bunch of comedy gags, including a really gruesome black comedy gag and a recontextualized version of one of the gags from Deadpool 1. The only thing Deadpool 2 doesn't have is the erotic stuff from the first, but it's certainly no less vulgar. There aren't any standout characters for me. In Deadpool 1, I really like Colossus, and Deadpool 2, he largely plays the same role, but since there's other characters that the movie's working with, he does get lost in his shuffle, so that's a bit unfortunate. But I wasn't really too overtly fond of the new additions, but I did think they were pretty cool. I mean, I did like Josh Brolin as Cable, and Domino's cool, but I think there wasn't enough to them, personally speaking, to really make me fond of them. But yeah, so it's pretty amusing to have watched Infinity War for the second Infinity War, sorry. Thinking of Infinity Ward. Good God. Yep, the development team, not the actual movie. But yeah, I have watched Infinity War for a second time the previous week, and then I came in to watch Deadpool 2, and then I could not help but think of Thanos whenever I was hearing Josh Brolin speak as Cable. My favorite parts were the ending with Wade giving his dying words and finding out it actually takes a long time to drop dead. And the post-credits scene, which has two really neat scenes of Wade saving two people he cares about, and Ryan Reynolds just not resisting the idea of making fun of himself. I was pretty surprised to hear a lot of direct references to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to characters that Marvel owns the film rights of. I think Deadpool 1 was... They only referenced Nick Fury in the post-credits scene, while the rest of the other character references were primarily towards X-Men characters. And that really makes you wonder if the pending Fox/Disney merger might have incentivized the idea, since, again, most of the references to other characters in Deadpool 1 were towards X-Men characters. Now, ultimately, in the end, a lot of the enjoyment of the two Deadpool movies, regardless if it's one or two, boils down to whether you care for meta humor and gags over superhero movies playing things straight or more seriously. And so Deadpool 2 is roughly about the same as Deadpool 1 to me. Enjoyable, but probably only worth one or two watches at most. I'm hoping that if the X-Force movie does happen, or if Deadpool is used in another movie, that maybe we can get a Deadpool in a different context. We've seen him do his particular brand of shtick for two movies now. A third movie featuring Deadpool alone is probably not going to be any different. You've had straight man characters like Colossus and Cable playing off of Deadpool. It'll be interesting to see Deadpool in a straighter movie, quote-unquote, in the vein of, say, the Guardians interacting with Tony Stark, Peter Parker, and Doctor Strange from Infinity War. Off-kilter humor clashing with more serious, down-to-earth personalities in a more serious movie. Anyway, that's my personal thoughts of Deadpool 2, which, again, I rated 7 out of 10 earlier. The too long, didn't read version of it is Deadpool 2 is pretty much like Deadpool 1 with a few differences. If you like the first one, you like the second, and that's good. That's the gameplay and commentary. Hope you enjoyed it, and Insanity is out.
Adios, amigo. Rest in peace.